Joyce trying to put his punches together now, trying to pick his punches, and Takam's taking a lot.
Referee should
Is
be
he
having a
about
look
to
here.
go? Is he ready to go? Referee
Downstairs
Steve Gray.
as well.
Referee Steve Gray watching on very, very closely, and it's all over. It's all over. Joe Joyce gets the win he wants
Live and
in the
direct
sixth
from the
round.
house of hits.
And when he got him going, my word, he didn't
Live
let
and
him off the
direct
hook.
from the house of
Great finish.
hits.
Welcome back to the Bold and Understanding channel on YouTube. Hey, this is Bold. Hey, I just watched a very good fight between Joe Joyce and Carlos Takam. And I'm just going to give my opinion on what I thought about the fight overall. To me, it was very competitive. And they were going back and forth. But to be honest, I just thought Joe Joyce with his jab, even though his jab is pretty slow, I thought the jab controlled the pace of the fight overall. However, Takam did have his moments in the fight as he was teeing off on him, especially in the earlier rounds. But my thing with Takam, and I understand he's 40 years old, but my thing with Takam is sometimes, with his style, his fighting style, sometimes to me, it seemed like he does a lot of unnecessary movements when he's trying to, throw his punches and stuff like that. And I get it, that's his style and everything, but to me, I think a lot of it is like wasted energy. And I thought that overall contributed to the fight stoppage, even though some may argue it was a little bit early and Takam did protest the fight. But as I break this down round by round, I will say, hey, round one, to me, it was more of a swing round because I thought overall Joe Joyce controlled the round with his jab and his 1-2. Takam, he was getting off with a couple of overhand rights, and he did, snuck in a couple of body shots. But to me, that fight was a swing round that could have went either way. I personally gave that to Joe Joyce, but I won't argue if people gave that round to Takam. So I'll just be fair there. So that round could have went either way. Now let's move on to round two. In this round, I thought Takam put on a hell of a performance against Joe Joyce. Actually, I thought this was Takam's best round of the fight, to be honest with you. I know I said he does a lot of unnecessary movements, but this movement actually worked in his favor in this round. He was bobbing and weaving a lot, making Joe Joyce miss a lot of shots. And then in return, he was going to the body on Joe Joyce and then hit Joe Joyce near the end of the round with a couple of overhand rights that was, getting on Joe Joyce. Now, I guess Joe Joyce, having the chin that he has, that kind of, I guess he didn't really get hurt. But at the end of the day, if Joe Joyce fights somebody that has a little bit more pop in their punches, and if he thinks about walking through those type of shots, he's going to find himself in trouble. But again, that was a good round for Carlos Takam, and I thought he put on a hell of a performance. And like I said earlier, this was his best round of the fight. Now I'm going to move on to round three. Okay, in this round, it was a little bit more the same as the second round, but I will say this. I think going towards the end of the round, Joe Joyce started to pick up momentum, especially within the last 10 seconds, as I think he was trying to steal the round. But however, I didn't think it was enough. I thought Takam was still getting off on him. But remember when I said about his movements, I think that's where he started to slow down a bit, because a lot of his movements, I feel as though he doesn't really need to make those movements as much, especially when he's not in harm's way. But that's just my opinion. But Joe Joyce did start to go into the body a little bit this round. But overall, I still gave it to Takam. So in my personal opinion, I have Takam up 2-1. Going on to the fourth round. All right, in this round, I gave this round to Takam as well. You would think like the last 10 seconds of the third round when Joyce seemed like he was going to turn it up, you would think he would carry that momentum into the actual fourth round, but Takam came out on fire. I mean, he was vested, he was going to the body, he was going to the head, and Joyce waited till like, I say, over the half of the round, probably about 1 minute left or whatever, to decide to invest into the body of Takam, which you could tell once he hit Takam to the body, Takam, it started to slow him down a bit. But I still thought this was a dominating round by Takam. This would be, like, to me, his second best round out of the whole fight. And hey, like I said, it was a very good fight, man. And if these guys were real popular, this would be worth the pay, to be totally honest with you. But for me, I'm a real fan, so I'm definitely going to watch the fight regardless. Now I'm going to move on to round 5. All right, before the start of the 5th round, Carlos Takam was noticeably tired in his corner. He was breathing heavy and stuff, and that goes back to what I was saying with a lot of his unnecessary movements in this fight. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, it was effective, as he gets in, and Joyce was, throwing punches. He was making Joyce miss. But a lot of his movement came when it was like too far apart, and Carlos Takam's making these unnecessary movement, which contribute to him being gassed out before the start of the 5th round. However, in his 5th round, I thought, I mean, some people could call it a swing round, but I will give it personally to Joyce because he established the jab and he was hitting the 1-2. Then he started going to the body a little bit. But Takam was still getting off. I will say this, Takam was still getting off in that round. I just thought it wasn't enough. Again, this is my opinion. So if your opinion differs from mine, I mean, it's all good. I mean, it's just, it's just boxing. That's all I got to say. Now, moving on to the 6th round. All right, obvious in round 6, we all know that the stoppage came. But I will say this. When they first came out, Joyce threw like 3 shots, and the left hook caught Takam, and Takam stumbled, and Joyce started teeing off on him. But in the midst of teeing off on him, he was kind of like missing a lot of shots as well at the beginning when he was teeing off on him, and Takam snuck in 2 body shots. But once they came together and Joyce and Selena had weight on him a little bit before they, the action continued, you could tell Takam was pretty much tired. However, Joyce was getting off on him, and while he was hitting Takam, the referee jumped in and stopped the fight. Now, you can make an argument for both ways. Takam has a very good argument. He was like, hey, I wasn't even hurt. Yeah, I was stumbled or whatever, but I wasn't hurt, and I wasn't even out of there. And he has a great case because this is Takam we're talking about. Now, from the referee's point of view, he has a case as well. I mean, he's looking at a guy who's getting, he's getting tagged up a little bit. It's not really like that much hard shots and stuff, but he was getting tagged up, and he wasn't brilliantly defending himself. I mean, he could have clinched. He could have got into the clinch to try to recuperate or whatever, or he could have just taken a knee and reset, took a standing 8 count or something. But from that point of view, the referee is like, well, hey, you're not intelligently defending yourself at this point in the time when I stopped the fight. But sometimes you got to know who the fighter is. And from the way I see it, I mean, I thought it was a little bit early of a stoppage, but at the end of the day, I thought it wouldn't have got any better because Takam really didn't recuperate right. So I thought if the punches would have kept coming, I thought, to be honest with you, the referee would have stopped the fight regardless. even though it was a little bit early of a stoppage. Now, overall, the fight, like I said earlier, I thought it was a very good fight. And like I said, both of these guys, they're not popular. I mean, Carlos Takam maybe a little bit more popular because of his experience in the ring. Whereas though Joyce, he hasn't really had a long career as of yet, but everybody knows him from the Olympics and stuff, if you're a real boxing fan. And, the guy's still, he's a workhorse. I mean, for somebody that doesn't have that much experience in boxing, he's definitely working his way up. I mean, he's a little slow, he's a little robotic, but it's effective. I mean, he has a decent jab, which is something you really need in a heavyweight division. He has a decent jab. And I understand they call him the juggernaut, but at the end of the day, you can't take these type of shots. And I think I mentioned that earlier. You can't take these type of shots when you start fighting the upper echelon of fighters in the division. But overall, man, good fight. Very good fight. And this is my opinion. So, again, man, if y'all don't agree with it, it's all cool with me, man. I mean, it's just boxing, man. That's how I look at it. So, I'll catch y'all on the next video. Peace.